This is an informal narrative coda, which I'm recording on October 27th, 2021, from my home in Bangkok. In 2017, I was shooting the movie Mechanic Resurrection with Tommy Lee Jones, Jessica Alba, and Jason Statham in an impromptu sound stage on the outskirts of Sukhumvit Road in Bangkok. My scenes were shot over 3 days. I would drive myself in from my home about 200 kilometers from the studio every day. On the third evening, when I wrapped my shoot, unbeknownst to me, a couple of paparazzi followed me. I went home, picked up my wife and my son, and we went shopping for groceries at a local store. I spoke about this incident earlier in this audiobook, but because there's been such an incredible response on the internet, I felt compelled, and I'll explain why in just a moment, to bring it up and discuss it in further detail. My family and I went through the 10-aisle line, but my son said he wanted some bananas, so I went back into the store to fetch them. Contrary to reports, we only had 10 items, not 25, as was reported. When I came back from the produce section, my son was pretty much hysterical, crying and rubbing his eyes. By this time, there was one very aggressive French paparazzi who was furiously snapping pictures of my son, my wife, and myself. He was egging me on, saying, "Come on, get mad, it's okay. You can hear that in the video." Anyway, he conveniently didn't turn on the camera when he was harassing and frightening my son. The reality was we were a family waiting in line to pay for our groceries. It was, however, the paparazzi's intention to try to come up with something more interesting. So he cleverly created a scenario in which any father would react. Initially, he was just shooting stills, and just prior to turning on his video camera, was making all kinds of anti-American remarks to further upset me. Of course it didn't, as I was only concerned about the immediate welfare of my family. I believe the gentleman was French. It was about this time that he turned on the video. Listen carefully to the tape and you can hear him saying, "Go on, get upset, it's okay," or something to that effect. It was at that time that I walked up to him, swore at him, said something about America, and told him to get lost. We then left the store. That was it. The whole episode took about a minute. I calmed myself down, and that, in my mind, was that. Just another intrusive, ignorant paparazzi trying to make a few bucks. The next day I received a call from the Daily Mail in London, who said that they were going to run the piece. I said, "What piece?" They said, the grocery store. I was surprised, but not really bothered. In fact, it never really bothered me, and still doesn't. It's a silly non-story. People in public life have run-ins with paparazzi all the time. To me, it only ever mattered in reference to my son, and how upset he was over the incident. It then hit the papers and went viral for 3 days around the world. I resisted the temptation to say anything, because I felt it would be just throwing fuel on the fire of this ridiculous story. This little scene was entirely engineered by this paparazzi guy, for maximum effect, so that he could make the most money, and in fact he did sell the video. Incredibly, he also went into hiding after this incident, because he thought that I would try and do something to him. This drama was created entirely by him, and then took flight in the minds of the public. My family and I made the decision not to say anything at all and just let it blow over, which it did. When I became a little bit famous after Squid Game, somebody somewhere obviously did a little digging, and once again, it hit the internet. With the Squid Game mania rolling over the world, it became an unstoppable tsunami of nonsense. I can't believe I'm talking about it now, but I feel I must because of a letter I got from a fan called Marley. She wrote me just now, very politely and earnestly on Instagram, saying that I should make a public statement so that my new fans wouldn't be disappointed, or think the worst of me. I responded quite reasonably that it was an incident which took 1 minute 4 or 5 years ago. It had become fodder for the trolls, and was out of my control. I felt that it would only add fuel to the fire, and if not commented upon, would go away much quicker than if I responded. But something about Marley's letter moved me to say something about it, and thus here we are. As I told her, I am the same person before this occurred, before Squid Game occurred. I'm the same father, I'm the same actor. I live by the exact same values. I refuse to let the actions of this paparazzi guy further impugn my life. Besides, the bad guy that they're all talking about online is not me. It's some kind of media creation, a guy I certainly would never want to meet, and thank God it's not me. The way I see it, trolling online is a kind of out-of-sync pastime for people who in many ways are perhaps unrequited in their own lives, and so congregate together in packs to commiserate online. Look, I'm a big boy. I can take it. I worry about teenagers that have and will commit suicide because of internet bullying. I worry about Marley and how sweet she was to be concerned over this incident. It's a shame, too, that I have to include it in this otherwise wholly positive view of my work on Squid Game. I have, I think, quite reasonably resisted in saying anything. But now, here it is, my untold side of the story that no one even asked for or considered before they went crazy on the internet, calling me a white supremacist, a racist, and all kinds of nonsense. I have in fact received 3 online death threats because of it. I was determined to say nothing about it until Marley asked me to, in such a kind, genuine, and thoughtful way. Parents, kids, anybody, internet bullying is dangerous. Young people particularly are vulnerable. Mom and Dad, if you see it, stop it. Kids, don't worry about it. Turn the page. It's not important. It's just unrequited people getting off on other people's misery. True or false, it doesn't matter, just as long as they have something they can type into that keyboard. As a former journalist, I understand that stories have a life. This one popped up in 2017, and then again when I got a little bit famous from Squid Game in 2021. But at the end of the day, I'm not concerned, I'm not worried, and I don't want anybody that likes my work to be worried either. I think you know who I am. I certainly do. So take it with a grain of salt, and next time, perhaps, take a moment, just a moment, to consider what transpired before they turned the camera on.